Coming up on today's show, we will break down the Seattle Seahawks 53-man roster as it has been revealed. But first, want to make sure you join the family and subscribe here to Seahawks Today as we are nearing 40,000 subscribers, trying to get there before football season, but we need your help to get there. 350 of you. That's what I'm looking for. Can you subscribe? Can you join us for daily Seahawks coverage, watch parties, live shows, mailbags, and more? Come on in, stay a while, subscribe now for free. You ain't alive if you ain't subscribed, and we'll get started with this edition of Seahawks Today. Let's start with the cuts from the very beginning as Sal Cannella, Jordan Ferguson, Malik Flowers, Benji Franklin, Justin Marshall, Chris Still, Wayne, Griffin Hebert, Arquan Bush, Tyjon Lindsey, all got the cuts. Continuing, Jalen McKenzie, Liam Ryan, Kendall Randolph, Matt Landers. That one was unfortunate for some, but not a big surprise. Matt Godel. Easop Winston Jr. had a great final preseason game against the Packers. Ultimately, he's gone. Levi Bell. That one was heartbreaking to see the Seahawks ultimately move on from him. We'll see if they pick him up on the practice squad and if he could get the call up later on. Greg Eland, the offensive tackle. Tyler Mabry. Seahawks weren't going to carry more than 3 tight ends, but I would expect him to be a practice squad player. Ty Okada at the safety spot. And then also on the list, Joey Blunt is there, as well as Patrick O'Connell, Ben Burr, BBK. Holton Ahlers also on the list as well. The Seahawks only carrying 2 quarterbacks. Lance Boykin, John Hall. Kay Johnson misses the 53-man roster for the second straight year. Remember last year, he did get called up later on to the 53-man roster. Roderick Perry also on this list. And then a few more names. Jacob Sykes, Sir Roderick Thompson Jr. Sir Roderick Thompson had a very good preseason. He's a name I would keep on potentially an eye on for the practice squad. Christian Young, Joey Hunt, Vi Jones with Jordan Brooks having his recovery, his miraculous recovery within 8 months. That kicked Vi Jones to the curb. I would expect him to be a practice squad guy. Jonathan Sutherland came very close, but ultimately just a little bit short. He's another guy I'd expect to stick around the practice squad after a very impressive camp. And then also on the Seahawks reserve/pup list, that's where we find Austin Fiolu as well as Brian Mone at those nose tackle spots for the Seattle Seahawks on those positions. So, with that said, those are the cuts. We're going to get to the depth chart, go position by position here in just a second. But now that you know what the cuts are, what is your one-word reaction to the cuts the Seahawks have made? My one word is, all right, I can work with that. This is a team that is going to be very, very good. I would have liked Levi Bell on this roster, but otherwise, I can live with the decisions that John Schneider and Pete Carroll made. Livable would be another word I would use. Give me one word to describe it all. Let us know in the comments section. The quarterback position, Geno Smith will be your starter. Drew Lock will be the backup for Seattle. The Seahawks gained a lot of confidence out of Drew Lock, what he did in camp and in the preseason, to be that number 2 quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks in 2023, and be confident in him if he were to take over the starter if Geno Smith were to go down. The backfield is loaded. Kenneth Walker, Zach Charbonnet, DJ Dallas, and Kenny McIntosh are your 4 running backs. Hopefully, we see all 4 of them available week 1. Meanwhile, Nick Bellore, who you'll also see the linebacker spot, he'll be the fullback as well. The wide receivers, the Seahawks are carrying 6 wide receivers. DK and Tyler Lockett, no surprise. JSN will be your number 3. And there he is, Jake Bobo, along with Young and Thompson. D. Eskridge with that 6-game suspension does not count against the 53-man roster right now. I imagine that decision on him will come later. But Jake Bobo, the UDFA out of UCLA, previously at Duke, was the Seahawks' leading receiver this preseason. He runs a 4.9 40, but don't let the slow feet fool you, because this guy can play at an extremely high level. We saw what he was able to do this preseason, finding ways to run good routes, get open, get open down the field and in space. He is going to be an impact player for this Seattle Seahawks team. And think about this, too. Jake Bobo walks into Seattle where he's going to be the fourth wide receiver on the Seahawks depth chart. You talk about an ascension, a climb from 0 to 100. Real quick, Jake Bobo did just that as he was able to manage to have 7 catches, 125 yards, nearly 18 yards reception, and 2 touchdowns. Jake Bobo was spectacular. We want more Bobo. You get more Bobo in 2023. Who's your favorite player on the Seahawks roster? Is it Bobo? Is it Geno? Is it somebody else we've already talked about? Maybe it's Bobby Wagner. Let me know. Who is your favorite player on the Seahawks roster in the comments section? Seahawks carrying 3 tight ends, Noah Fant, Will Dissly, and Colby Parkinson. You will see all 3 of them from time to time in this Seahawks offense. The offensive line, your starting 5 will be Charles Cross, Damian Lewis, Evan Brown, Phil Haynes, and Abraham Lucas holding down those 5 spots. I think this is going to be a really good group. Obviously, there was tough competition at the center and right guard spots, but ultimately the Seahawks go with the veterans to hold those things down. Olu Oluwatimi is going to be a guy to watch for. Could sneak in and be a starter at that center spot later on towards the season. Also, watch out for Anthony Bradford, who impressed throughout camp as well. He could sneak in and work his way into the starting lineup at some point, potentially later on this year. Let's go defense now. That is where we find Draymond Jones. Jarran Reed slides over to the nose tackle spot. There was a thought that he was going to come in and be another defensive end, but ultimately Pete Carroll and company shifted things over to move Reed to that nose tackle spot. Cameron Young is also there. Mario Edwards, Mike Morris, Miles Adams. A very good group on the defensive line for the Seattle Seahawks, in particular with Jarran Reed. This is a guy that, is in his second stint with the Seattle Seahawks now. Was with this team from 2016 to 2020. Had some time with the Chiefs and the Packers, but now we see him come over. And there's been a lot of excitement, a lot of energy about Jarran Reed of not just the football player he is, the talent that he brings to the table, but the leader, the presence that he brings to the Seahawks locker room. Everybody's been speaking glowingly about Jarran Reed. I want to show you what Pete Carroll had to say about Jarran Reed recently of just the type of impact player that he's going to bring to the Seattle Seahawks team. Carroll said this: "So fortunate that Jarran Reed came back to us. We really are. More than just the playing. He's such a leader for us. He's got a great mentality. He's tough. He's demanding of the young guns. He coaches them up. He's assured that role. He's the kind of statements there." So how about that for Jarran Reed and his role with the Seahawks? Obviously, some fan favorites like Levi Bell and Matt Landers and Aesop Winston and others are gone now. So long, farewell. We wish those guys nothing but the best. I know this is a tough business decision to move on from some of these guys, but we want to send some well wishes. Hopefully, we get to see some of these guys come back to Seattle. But in the meantime, go ahead and spam good luck in the comments section. Who knows who could be watching this program? Best of luck in their future endeavors, whether it's in football or out of football. Spam it in the comments section. Show them some support as they move on to their next chapter. To the outside linebacker position, the Seahawks don't keep Levi Bell around, but they're still loaded at this spot. It's expected that Boye Mafe and Uchenna Nwosu will be your starting outside backers. Darrell Taylor, who had 9+ sacks last year, he'll be a nice rotational piece. Remember, he had those 9+ sacks last year without starting most of the season. Derek Hall has looked very good so far in his rookie campaign throughout the preseason. He and Boye have that thunder and lightning thing kind of going on. And then there's Tyreek Smith as well, who had a very good second preseason game, the former 6th-round pick out of Ohio State. He has taken significant progress throughout this offseason. But Pete Carroll referred to Boye Mafe as the most improved player this offseason. And I mean, this is a guy that was just outstanding. A second-round pick out of Minnesota, played in 17 games with 3 starts as a rookie last year, managed 41 tackles and 3 sacks. But what you saw on film, what he was able to do in the preseason this year, he was just all over the football field. And the thing that makes him different, that's going to be an impact for the Seahawks defense, isn't just the fact that he can rush the quarterback. The Seahawks have a lot of guys that can rush the quarterback. But you can drop him in coverage. You can play him in run defense. He is an all-around, complete outside linebacker, something the Seahawks desperately needed at that position. Pete Carroll said this about Boye Mafe recently. It's like night and day. Mafe probably appears to be like the most improved guy from last year. It's really early, but he's shown so many bright moments out here against the run and the pass. The inside backers, Brooks, Wagner, Bush, and Radigan hold those spots. Devin Bush, there was rumblings about if he could potentially be traded now that Jordan Brooks is back healthy, 8 months removed from the ACL injury. That could be something to monitor there if the Seahawks hang on to Devin Bush or not and potentially use him as a trade piece to try to invest in the interior of the offense, the defensive line, or to maybe get a draft pick of some sorts there. Cornerback position. What a fantastic young group the Seahawks have here. Mike Jackson and Rick Woolen will be your starting outside corners. Devin Witherspoon will hold things down in the nickelback spot for now. Could potentially move into one of those starting outside corner roles. Kobe Bryant, we've seen him play some safety throughout the preseason. Obviously, he was a very good corner last year as well, and I got more on him that we'll get to here in just a second. But Artie Burns ultimately ends up making the roster as the Seahawks go with 6 total corners here to provide some flexibility here for the Seahawks in that group, some depth. Trey Brown, who's had a very good camp in preseason, he also makes this as well. And watch out, if Trey Brown has his name called, if there's an injury, whatever it may be, he's more than capable of starting at one of those outside spots if he need be. But let's go back to Kobe Bryant here for a second. Played in all 17 games as a rookie with 6 starts, and he led the Seahawks in forced fumbles last year with 4. And whether it's safety or whether it's the corner spot, the versatility, he's going to find a way to be effective on the football field for the Seattle Seahawks. I think you're going to love what you see from Kobe Bryant. They're going to just plug him anywhere, and he's going to find a way to make an impact on this Seattle Seahawks football team. Kobe Bryant, as much talk as there was about Rick Woolen in 2022 with the outstanding rookie campaign he had, Kobe Bryant had a very good rookie campaign as well. Maybe it wasn't Pro Bowl level, but I expect Kobe to take a big step up as well. Kobe recently asked about his role with this corner safety hybrid thing going on. He said, I can play anything. I'm just trying to contribute on this team and win. Great mentality there from Kobe Bryant. A couple more before we wrap up here. Let's turn to the safety position. Jamal Adams is back from injury. He's going through walkthroughs. We'll see if he's ready to give it a go when the Seahawks begin the season week 1 against the Rams. Quandre Diggs, one of the leaders on this Seahawks defense, coming off a Pro Bowl season. Watch out for him. Julian Love also, I would expect to be out there with Adams and with Diggs in some 3 high safety looks at times. Don't even consider him a backup. He'll get plenty of time, get starter quality playing time as far as I'm concerned. Then Jarek Reed, the 6th-round pick out of New Mexico. He makes the roster as well. Jarek Reed's shown some flashes. Watch out to see what he could do for the Seattle Seahawks team. The special teams unit, Myers, Dixon, and new long snapper Chris Stoll holds that spot. And there you have it. That is your 53-man roster for your Seattle Seahawks. What do you think of the Seahawks roster from top to bottom with the cuts that were made? How would you grade it? A, B, C, D, or F? What do you think? For me, there's still a glaring weakness at the interior of the defensive line. I still have question marks about the run defense. But overall, this is a very talented group. I think I'd give it about a B+ would be my grade. Give me your grade for the Seahawks 53-man roster. Stay subscribed to the channel as we're going to be all over the waiver wire coming up tomorrow. And we got our live show tomorrow afternoon as well. Watch parties coming up very soon. So stay subscribed.
Keep tuned to the channel. We have you covered. You won't want to miss a thing here on Seahawks Today. I'm Tyler Jones. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us.